What's going on, guys? Big D here, Derek Lambert, and Ash with the cash.
Ash with the cash. What's up, guys?
We're at the spot with Mott. Check it out, guys. I know I'm enjoying this time off, if you will, with the fam. This spot you have is dope.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, it's literally majestic. You guys will see some other stuff I'm putting out. You'll see a lot of clips from me hanging out with Ashton. It's real, man. The recovery community online is no joke. Make sure you follow us, like this thing, share this thing, and create your own YouTube channel and let us know that you did. We'll come check it out and show it some love and subscribe to you guys. We want to talk about Ecstasy, all right? I think I've mentioned this briefly in other videos, but we're in the jacuzzi. Why not? Absolutely. You know, why not?
Yeah.
Y'all seen two girls in one cup? Well, here's two guys in one jacuzzi for you. You know what I'm saying?
That's what this is.
That's right. So, Triple X coming your... No, I'm just... Nah, look, we'll go ahead and dig into this because I'm sure if many of you have rolled on Ecstasy before, you understand what it does. I don't know if you did it. Me and Ashton are going to kind of talk back and forth about what we did. We're not encouraging this. We're obviously trying to help people understand how it affected us and give you a little bit of gist of the story of what happened to us. Of course, our angle is to help people who are suffering. That's the ultimate goal. Not everybody suffers, though. Not everybody deals with the same disease and illness and stuff like that. So, I know we used to take Vicks vapor rubs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you could rub them on your face, or you could shake them and sniff the Vicks vapor rubs.
I remember that was a popular thing in the 90s that they started out with when the kind of rolling scene started up.
Yeah.
But what was interesting about Ecstasy is that was my first addiction. It was my very first addiction. Now, they say you can't get addicted to it. I would say it was more mental more than anything. For me, the first time I took it, I remember I was looking at it. It was this little green pill, like crumbly little pills. Like it looked like it was just bunk. Like I was like, what is this? Like a little tiny pill, and it had green. It was green. The base of it was green, and then it had white specks in it. And then I was looking at it, and it was a smiley face on it, and I was like, what is this? This isn't gonna do anything. And mind you, all I've done since before this point is I had just started smoking weed and drinking alcohol. Like that's all I had done. And I had no experience with harder drugs by this point. And the very first time I took it, I took it, and I remember it just tasted nasty, like chemically.
Yeah,
nasty, dude.
They were nasty.
And then I was like, you know what? This isn't even gonna do anything. What is this little tiny little pill gonna do? And I found out, I had a rude awakening that that little tiny pill will shoot you into another galaxy.
It truly will.
I mean, so when I did it with two other friends. We were kind of in this outdoor mall area. I was 14 at the time, and I took it, and we had this big gallon of orange juice because I heard supposedly, you know, it hits you harder. I guess the vitamin C makes more of it absorb or something along those lines. So we were just kids with a big gallon of orange juice, and walking in this outdoor mall. There's like lights and theaters and stores and everything. It was a popular chill spot for my hometown. And so I took it, and then about 30 minutes later, my two buddies were like all hugging on each other and saying like, I love you, bro, I love you. And it hasn't hit me yet, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, you guys are like, you guys are swinging that way. Like, what are you guys doing? And then as soon as I said that, I felt just this huge rush, and I was like, oh my, like everything, like you could just see the change of all reality, and I was like, whoa, like it was almost too intense. I was like, whoa, let me get in on that. And then, so we were all hugging each other. It probably looked like something funny, really funny.
Like you guys were gay.
Yeah, seriously. But we didn't care. Didn't care. Like it doesn't make you.
No offense. Yeah. You have nothing wrong with anybody who is, but
no. But yeah, it was just a super surreal experience. And
yeah.
I remember saying to myself when I was feeling it at the peak, I was like, why did I take anything else when there's this in the world? And I'm like, oh my goodness, I just found my medicine.
Yep.
And I was
But the
like,
come down, bro. Okay, so you talked about you're talking about the obvious point, and everybody's like, yeah, that's why we did it.
Exactly.
But that damn come down sucked. You didn't want to live. Like, I felt like life ain't worth living.
That was the rebound. You know, like as high, they say, as high as you go up, as high as you, or as far as you go down, and you go beneath the ground. I'd say you crash hard, and that was the kind of the, you know, if it didn't have the come down, I mean, I think it would be the greatest thing in the world. But with the come down, I mean, I went through major depression, and I felt like I was like dependent on it in order to be happy after the come down, because it just depletes all your serotonin in your brain, and so you can't sleep. You feel like you're on a.
You were addicted to it.
I was addicted to it. Yeah.
Okay, I think I was a little bit. However, I was doing other shit too, so.
Right.
Hard to say exactly what I was addicted to and why, but dude, if, like Kurt said in one of those videos when I P-test Kurt, he says,
you know, if dirt could get you high, I was doing it.
You know, dirt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I could see it with Ecstasy, dude. The euphoria is unbelievable. It's like, almost like trying to explain hallucinogenics to someone who's never done it. How do you explain that, right? So words can't really, other than the fact that the most intense, warm, fuzzy, happy feelings come over you.
That's why they call it ecstasy.
Yeah, you feel like it.
Definition of it.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it, man. You feel like you orgasm the whole time. Like that's all you're doing is orgasming, like the whole time.
Yeah.
So you find ways, like even when we sit there and we blow wind into each other's eyeballs, just to feel. You know what I'm saying? Like,
even like rolling around on the ground was felt amazing. Like we look like
the fan blowing on you, you name it. But yeah, man, I'm glad I don't do it. They say it puts holes in your brain and shit. I mean, we've had our experiences. We had some dangerous times when we'd sit in a jacuzzi and have this at 104 degrees, pumps going, orange juice, Vicks vapor rubs. We're smoking weed, smoking cigarettes. We're already hot, dehydrated at that, and mixing these chemicals, man, some close calls. And you know, my wife's short-term memory was messed up during that time. It like really did mess her memory up. But the come down, dude, like you don't want to live.
No.
You feel like, depending on which ones you take, of course, that varied on the situation. But these were back when the ecstasy pills were the stamps and the little pills, not Molly like they call it today.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously, I'm not encouraging it, but I am pointing out, why would someone, let's be real, guys, like why would you do it if you didn't like it, if it didn't do something for you? So that's the whole channel, really. Like we talk about it, and I'm going to tell you guys more stories, but I had a buddy of mine named Charles, and we took what were called white naked lady G-spots, and I don't know if you guys know what those are, but you probably do if you used to take them. And he took a bunch of them, and I don't know why he would fall asleep when he took them. But he never stayed asleep. They'd make him go to sleep, and then he'd wake up. Well, he was in the jacuzzi when he went to sleep in a sleep state, and he was sitting there in his face, and he's sitting there like just...
I mean, I'm talking about rolling eyes in the back of his head, just... Yeah. His jaws moving.
And we were playing with him. You know, we were kids, we were dumb, we didn't really know better, but he probably was very close to a bad situation, but he was a mechanic, and so I'd be like, which one's faster? Camaro or Mustang? Hurry up. Which one's faster? And he's like, Mustang. And like...
Sounds so familiar, dude.
Oh my God, bro.
Yeah. And I actually had an interesting experience through the addiction of it. You know, like they say, ecstasy isn't addictive. I was super addicted, and I did some addictive behavior with it as well. Actually, my mom was up here and she reminded us of a story.
Oh, yes.
Was that last night or the night before? She reminded us of a story of when I got super creative, okay? And because my eyes are blue, and when I took ecstasy, they make your eyes dilated, like barely any blue, all black. So you could see reflection, plus you're like lockjaw, you don't think you are, but you are. You're all sweaty, and you're just seeing everything mind you, seeing everything is beautiful. So even other people who are looking like that, you see them as just like the hottest thing in the world, like the most beautiful people in the world. It's the craziest thing. But so what I did is I was like, okay, so what do I do? I was, you know how they say addicts are the most creative people? That's what I've heard. I don't know. But I was like, okay, so my goal is to make sure my pupils stay small while I roll, because my mom has done ecstasy. She knows what to look for. And so I went to get, I had this crazy idea. I was thinking about it one day. I was like, those colored contacts that people wear, like these were kind of newer at that time. And I was like, I wonder if I could get some of those, because like they only have that little circle in the middle, you know? And so basically it's all color around it, just like your regular pupil is. And then there's just a little circle in the middle. So I got some blue color contacts and I put them on, and there was just the little circle in the middle for my pupils to be regular size. So I ended up doing that, and she didn't tell, even though it was pretty obvious. I mean, if you looked up close, you could see like the pixelated colors and stuff, but she didn't tell, but she found them. She ended up finding them. I think they were in my bathroom or something.
And she's like, yep, she knew why you wore blue contacts.
Yeah, she was like, what? Your eyes are already blue. Why are you wearing blue contacts? I'm like, because I want them to be bluer.
Right.
You know?
I won't lie though, I've thought about putting blue contacts in to make them more blue than they are, my eyes. But I get what you're saying. Like, you were kind of on the spot, didn't have a really good. Your mom didn't believe the BS.
No,
I'm glad she didn't.
Yeah,
guys, I'm glad that they're not around, because they were easy to take. Once you've taken them, it was easy to say, you know what, I'm gonna roll this weekend. And that's the sad part. Like, you know, other people who've done videos, they talk about how marijuana has damaged them. And a lot of people are like, oh no, don't talk about that. Well, not everybody is okay with it. Some people are like, it works for them. But, you know, ecstasy kind of made it, obviously it's far worse than even the pot was, but to me, that's my experience. But ecstasy was one of those things where it was like, I didn't have to have it every day.
Yeah.
But it was like, you could do it, and it wasn't like it had to grip you like opioids.
If you're going to a party, like it was a situational type. It was
addiction. A situational type thing for me. Now, not everybody's the same. I know people who have to live in that state. I couldn't, because the down was so, like, I just couldn't get into the down.
Right.
I don't think you can live in that high up every moment of every day.
Oh no.
Whereas opioids, you could take them every day, all day long. When you came down, you use them and you were in a better state. But it wasn't so bad that you weren't like, you know, I don't know. I didn't feel like I lost all control of my functions. However, when you get to that point where you're so jacked up, you're nodding. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're talking about ecstasy, obviously.
Right.
You know, because this is, I wanted to kind of compare it, though.
Well, I actually think that that's kind of the reason what you said earlier is like they stopped making the good ecstasy. You know, they started making adulterants, bunk pills, and then the Molly came out. Molly was big. And I wasn't really a big fan of the Molly. It wasn't really my thing. It wasn't because with the ecstasy they put a whole bunch of different stuff in it, and it's the cocktail of all these different things. I remember the green smiley. I had it tested, and it was MDA, a chemical MDA. It's almost like MDMA, which is ecstasy, the original version. And then there was meth, ketamine, and caffeine, all in those pills. And that, to me, I don't know if it was the first time kind of thing, but those were like the best experience ever. I think it probably was the first time, but the cocktail of it was way better than the pure, in my opinion. But thankfully they stopped making them, because that's why I stopped taking them. But then I found opiates, and then that's what kind of I graduated into. And I was like, I took them a couple times, and I was like, oh wow, I don't have a come down.
Yeah, it's like, not the same.
It's not as intense, and I could be level headed. I could be like energetic, and just like all the good parts about it. And I felt like I was more loving. I don't know if I actually was, but yeah, and that's what kind of led me into it. So the ecstasy, that was my first real addiction.
I'll tell you guys, first time I ever did ecstasy. I was 18 years old, 18-year-old birthday party. I was with my wife, which was my girlfriend at the time. I had gotten her pregnant. She had done this before. I had never done it. We had these turquoise infinities. by a guy who no longer lives. He overdosed. I'll leave him unnamed at the moment. Maybe one day I'll do a video about him because I had a dream about him before he ever did die. So there's some strange stuff. I'm not closed off to the spiritual, you know what I'm saying? But I obviously am far more radical in my thoughts than a lot of people. But
That is a whole different topic.
so I take the Turquoise Infinity, and I had been bottling up these secret feelings that I was afraid to tell her that I loved her, you know? And you know you can't hold that shit in when you are rolling. So I ended up taking them, and me and her were sitting in the front seat of the my mom's Isuzu Ascender at the time, and we both were like,
I need to tell you something. She's like, I need to tell you something too.
and we both knew that we loved each other and we had to tell each other that, but we had been holding it in the whole time. And we started talking about it with the same song. The song was by Sean McDonald, All I Need. And it's All I Need Is Your Love. And we sat there for hours listening to this Sean McDonald song. And the wife and me were telling each other how much we loved each other. And we were going back and forth for hours. And then all of a sudden, someone in the back seat, which we didn't know, but we were so lost, you know, in it. They're like, oh my God, you love each other. We were like, oh, like we didn't even know they were there. And I think I was gone for like 3 days. First time I ever did it, 3 days. He's right. It was a concoction, man. There were some ecstasy pills that you know they put meth in. There were some that you know they put cocaine in. There was some that you know that there was just like pure MDMA. It was like you were so euphoric and it wasn't the same kind of crash. There was just different kinds that they had going on out. I'm glad I don't take them anymore because there's no telling what the hell they were making. Some
Very
of them.
risky.
People were dying from some of them. There were bad stashes going around.
Yeah. Well, what they would do is they would have, okay, let's just say we took blue dolphins.
I remember those.
And then we tell people about the blue dolphins, and then they make another type of press. You could, if you've taken the blue dolphins that you originally took, you usually remember
you want the blue dolphin.
What the tint is and what the stamp looked like.
Yep.
And then if they were stamped in pressed, you would notice that. Then somebody else would be like, "Oh, I got these blue dolphins, and they're out pressed and they're different tint." And you're like, "Dude, I don't know what that is."
I remember those.
Yeah.
I remember the blue dolphins.
Yeah.
They were before the G-spot naked ladies.
Yeah. And the Gucci's.
But it's like they would give you those, you'd fall in love with the way they were because they gave you the first ones that came out, you were like, wow, those are the ones. Mm-hmm. And then they would start like minimizing what they put in it, and they didn't make them as good as they once did, and people were making fake ones, I guess, of the originals or whatever it was. Maybe they weren't fake. Maybe they were just, someone else was trying to make them because they knew that the Blue Dolphin sold. So they were finding ways to cut it more, in my opinion, with less potent stuff. And then who knows what else they're mixing it with.
Right.
But dude, dangerous shit, man. Yeah. Very dangerous because you can like lose sense of reality.
Well, especially what they're doing now with the
Molly
stamping pharmaceuticals.
Like
these were stamped like you knew these came from an underground lab.
Right.
Like you knew, you don't know what is in this thing.
Well, you were talking about the Mexican one, the fentanyl Percocets that they're stamping.
They're making them look so real. Like you could, and they could literally print a label on the bottle now, like literally on the dark web. You get the label printed on it and make it look like it's a real thing. Give them the whole bottle with the name ripped off and literally be killing people. I mean, you know, it's
not
like
cool.
it's like, that's why I say like now times it's like the fentanyl craze is like insane. Why would they put that in other things? Like I can understand the opiates, but
because it takes a lot less fentanyl to get people high.
But
I don't know.
It's a risky game.
It is,
like,
but you know they don't care down in Mexico. Yeah. But I'll tell you this too. Another thing I've heard about with the Molly is there's people who thought they were getting Molly and they were getting what is that damn crazy stuff people are going nuts over down in Florida?
Oh, bath salts?
No, not bath salts. Dude, they're like, it literally is making people go crazy, but you might think you're Flocka. Yeah, Flocka, and then also meth. They think they're taking, they think they're getting Molly, and they're getting meth. This is from what I've heard from people. So, I mean, there's so many things going on, it's not worth the risk. None of this shit's worth the risk, first of all, for the time that you would spend if you got caught. Mm-hmm. But second of all, dude, you don't know what you're getting these days, and then I mean, third of all, dude, now that we're looking back, we're like, damn, I'm glad that I don't do that anymore for my health and everything else.
And like having level, you're grateful now for your serotonin, because if my I was in a dark spot after using a bunch of ecstasy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad, but like you're having to sacrifice like all those bad times, which is a whole lot more than the good times. But the good times were so intensified. It was almost like I was willing to give it up for the good times.
Yeah.
You know, like all those negative times, I was willing at the time to just focus on those 4 hours of having an amazing time. And I don't care for the whole next week or two that I'll be depressed.
It hijacks your thinking, man. It hijacks your brain.
It makes no sense.
It's like with opioids. Why would you do the opioids after you know you're going to detox if you get on it? Exactly. You know all the crap and repercussions that come with it, and you really don't know, because sometimes it might be more severe the next time. I didn't know, and then I ended up in jail. I mean, I didn't think I was going to get caught, you know, so I did dumb stuff, man. So obviously, it's more about what we're doing here is like letting you know, educating you, and communicating. You might hear us laugh about certain things. You might hear us think, yeah, remember that? That's because we can relate, and we know that there were some good times that came with it, but like, I'm glad we don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
It is cool that we have the story to tell and the experience to say we know what this was like. But, you know, we've heard our parents say that, you know. Well, back in the day when we used to take microdots or acid or this and that, and you're like, oh, yeah, but they don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, we got that experience out of the way.
Like, that's a chapter.
That's a chapter
in the past.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so you could revisit that chapter and read it.
Yeah, you can, and you don't have to live it.
Yeah,
and,
you don't have to make that in the chapter today.
But I kind of, if I could go back, I'm glad everything is the way it is. But if I had to go back, obviously I wouldn't do certain things that I did. It's caused more harm to my family and me for the long run. However, if I look at it in a positive light, I'm able to help more people now and tell them what it's like, what happened. And Ashton too. Dude, me and Ashton met online, and it was just like, I had faith this guy was being real, and he knew I was being legit with him. Now I call him Ash the Cash, the spot with Mott. You know what I'm saying? And
that's it.
Big D.
Yeah.
So we teammate, you know, we're going to keep this thing and stick it together and let you guys know and try and be 100 and real with you about the situation. At the same time, I try to tiptoe certain lines to be careful because, you know, I do want you guys to be able to see this, and it can be cut off.
Right.
If we're not careful about how we approach this, we're not here to encourage the use at all. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Right.
We really aren't. However, there were good times that we had. Yeah. Thank God we survived it, because there's many friends we have who haven't. And there's people dying today. So, you know how it is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly,
you know?
Yeah. There's good times with everything that is seemingly bad, you know?
Right.
Like maybe a messed up childhood, you can remember sometimes that were good times, you know?
Yeah.
Something along those lines. I mean, but yeah, just because they say it's not addictive, that's what I want to say. I wouldn't believe that, because I was really addicted. I mean, I was taking it at school. I was at high school when I was a freshman, sophomore, you know, and I already had anxiety and depression. I'm pretty sure I wasn't diagnosed, but it made it hell. Like it was horrible. It was horrible. So yeah,
it did.
Yeah.
Hey, on that note, I've got stories we're gonna go into more depth on experiences that I had on Ecstasy, because I've seen some pretty dark shit. I don't know. It took me to another place. So I'll share those with you guys in time. We'll do more episodes, let you guys see some of those. And I'm sure Ashton has some too. I'm in Cali right now. I'm trying to live it up a little before we leave. We're heading back up to Washington here tomorrow. And I know where I'm going if I can, you know, for vacation and stuff. This is where it's at. So
yeah,
you know it.
Totally.
This is where it's at. Look, we love you guys. Thanks for being part of this. And like I said, man, you like what we're doing, join us, man. Come and join us. We got the Discord. You can hit me up on Facebook. You can hit Ashton up. Man, get a hold of us, dude. And we're approachable. You guys can get in contact with us, man. The whole point is to try and spread the light and let people know that it can be overcome. All right, y'all.
We'll see you, man.